Hello, welcome again to the Know the Distance podcast. I'm CyclopsDragon, and with me today I have Cali.
Hey.
Crispy.
Hello.
Skirmisher.
Hello.
And special guest this week is Fork.
Hey.
So, just like last time, we're going to be covering the updates, a few levels, and some suggestions, and maybe some bug fixes as well if we decide that's necessary. Alright, so let's get to the update. First thing to talk about is the big news. This update is likely the last major update before Steam Early Access is released. Woo!
Woohoo! That's great.
Yay.
We are on the track to the big time.
Oh man, I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be intense.
Now we're gonna get the wave of people stopping complaining that they bought during the beta and didn't get access to the beta.
Or that they can't find servers.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
So many things are happening.
I
Early
can't wait to see how crazy people go with the level editor. Like, people are already going insane.
Yeah, like as soon as we get into
I'm
the
excited.
as soon as we get into the early access, we're going to start having a whole bunch more people coming in, and that should mean we'll get a lot more creative levels and a lot more challenging levels, but it might also mean we'll get some levels that just don't work, but I guess we'll just have to deal with that.
We'll probably have a
Yeah.
lot of run-of-the-mill stuff and a lot of not good tracks, but there will be diamonds in there. I wasn't gonna say any names.
I think once all these tracks start coming in, the multiplayer is really gonna have to get fixed pretty quick with the community track support. Because right now you can download the tracks without closing and reopening the game if you hit the Steam Workshop button in the main menu, but you still have to leave the server and then go back into it.
Yeah, I definitely hope that auto download gets added ASAP.
Definitely.
It's very, very important for these servers to really stay, like, to work right with a bunch of people playing who don't know each other. Because people don't want to go and have to download every single map every day.
Of course
yeah.
not. But then again, there's dedicated servers and all kinds of goodies.
There's all kinds of things that we can definitely get.
And we can cover that, like, if we do we can do an extra section of suggestions that aren't already planned and just cover some quick stuff that we think of.
Mhm.
All right, so moving on with the update discussion. This is the first update to feature a visual change log. So this is sort of like they put together a few GIFs and pictures of a bunch of different things that were updated to cover the major updates for this build. And this is actually, I think this is a really cool idea. It's a good way to quickly go through the main sections of the changes and then be able to read a more detailed change log at your leisure.
Sure.
Yeah,
It
and
looks really nice.
It makes the especially for the teaser for the new stuff added to the Ground Zero in adventure mode. It makes a kind of a nice teaser for that, which is cool.
Definitely. It's really nice to be able to see everything, like, as an example. So, like, if you're reading through and, like, you don't know what some of these things mean, it not only gives you that, but it's cool to see what of each was added.
Yeah, I remember in the last update when they added, like, the debug lines between teleporters, a lot of people weren't sure what that really meant because they didn't realize you have to click on the teleporter to get it to the debug line to show up. So when you're just looking at the teleporter, there's no debug lines, and you're like, where are the debug lines? But having that would have been really helpful, I think, to illustrate that. And now that it's happening, it's going to be a lot easier to illustrate things that aren't really obvious.
Yep. Or if you're not a track author, then you don't use the level editor, and you wouldn't know what any of that meant. So now you can actually see what some of their updates do.
All right, next thing we're going to cover is the new camera positions to the car. There are a whole bunch of new camera positions. We got a rear view window. We've got 2 forward-facing cameras for each side, and I think 2 backwards-facing cameras for each side. Maybe it's just one.
No,
It's just one.
It's just one
they
for
don't
each
do
side,
the
but
one right by the wheel.
we
the
do
back.
have a straight up rear view camera though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That's
a lot
nice.
of stuff's being added with the cameras. That's all. Like, I really like the new camera angles, but some of them are just not really workable in gameplay.
Mhm.
Yeah, the problem
They
is
really make the game seem slower than it is for some reason.
And to put it specifically, basically, it's locked first of all, which is good in some situations, but
You can move them a little bit,
well, you
but
can
the
move
cameras
them. You can move them yourself.
Yeah.
My point is, like, when you're when you have the normal camera view, the camera will go all over the place depending on what direction you're going and
it's
whatever.
dynamic, and these new ones are not.
Yeah, and so like it doesn't move at all. It's locked, and it doesn't it doesn't move at all, which means it doesn't like move back slightly when you're going fast like the normal camera does, and all sorts of stuff. But at least the rear view camera makes for a good screenshot camera, as long as you're not boosting or whatever. But
it's also good for tag.
Oh man, I didn't think about that. Although it's going to be difficult to like switch between cameras,
to
like
quickly access that.
Mashing the camera button a bunch of times. Although it might be to remedy that, or maybe they could just add a rear view button to hold down, or there could be like a next camera, previous camera button. Like if we could use the left and right D-pad buttons, or V and B for that. That could work.
Or even something that I was thinking is you could have a specific button set to a specific camera angle, so that you hold that button down and it shows X camera angle.
Yeah,
that'd be really nice. Good used on the D-pad just on its own. Up for like you could it would work. I believe it would work. I can't explain it right now, but I'm sure it would work.
Some experimentation with that would probably be pretty useful.
Definitely. It'd make for some really cool... There would be some really sick fan-made trailers that came out from that, I'm sure.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Oh man.
I bet Splaysh is going to have fun with it.
Well, I mean,
Splaysh is going to lose his mind.
We did also hit the stretch goal for the replay mode. So
yes, we did.
That's going to be a thing one day also. That's going to explode video content.
I assume. Cannot wait.
All right, let's head on into the new graphic options. There's like a bit more specific text telling you like what each graphic option is, and I think there were a few more options, like just more detailed stuff.
Letterboxing.
Oh, letterbox! I have been running with letterbox since that came out, and it's great.
It is so gorgeous. Like looking at the screenshots in here, and I played a little bit with it earlier. It is just ridiculously awesome, especially on some of the later refract stages. It's so good.
It is actually quite good.
Yeah,
can't wait till we get that version watermark out of here though.
No, I played through adventure mode with the letterbox, and that was pretty cool. Although, and it's just like it's cool. It makes everything seem more dramatic, you know.
It's gonna be another thing that works really, really well for videos. It's just another thing that's gonna make some tricks really, really easy to do, and in editing and stuff.
Like in some of the funny thing is, when Jordan was considering this, he posted it to Twitter, and The Evil Within had just come out, and it had that letterbox or whatever. I haven't played it, but that's what people were commenting like, oh, I didn't like that. Why would you? And it's like, no, don't. And there were a few naysayers, but now I hear you guys just like saying, yeah. So
I haven't played without it since. I really enjoy it.
You know what might be cool? You know what might be cool is triggers in the level editor to turn letterboxing on.
Oh god, yes.
So much.
That would be so cool. But it would have to be in a way to where like,
oh my god,
if there's triggers for that, then I would want it to be done in a way that you can trigger like, okay, here's where like, say the level starts with it on, but you can have it like go smoothly from letterbox to not letterboxed in a way that players wouldn't really notice until like after it had switched, instead of like an abrupt like bam, it's not letterbox anymore. So
like in the beginnings of adventure levels, it has the name of the level, and then the letterboxing just slides out.
Yeah, just like that, slide in and slide out. It would make for some insanely awesome graphical moments in levels. Like, I'm losing my mind right now, you guys. This is ridiculous.
Glad to be of service.
I gotta go find it.
Okay, so next up we're gonna talk about new content for Ground Zero, because they added a bunch of stuff onto the end of that track, and it it really, I think story-wise, it just flows a lot better. Like because before I felt like it kind of ended abruptly, but now with the new stuff that's added, it sort of builds up as you get to the end.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's made for like a bunch more plot speculation in general. Like if you head over to the private discussion forums, CSDex has basically he dumped the conversation that he and I had, and I still need to update that. And there's a bunch of goodies we can dig into, and there's like some audio clips that we need to listen to more closely to figure out what they say, and all sorts of fun stuff. So it's pretty cool. But it's actually it's not even done really. They're still not done with it yet, because at the end it teleports you to the old already pre-existing area where it's just like there's a bunch of lasers and saws and stuff, and then that lasts for like 5 to 10, not even 10 seconds hardly, and then you're done. But Jordan's gonna do something even cooler for the climax, I bet, and I'm gonna be anticipating that. It's gonna be sweet.
I just want to see how they carry on with Destination Unknown and what comes after that.
So much though,
because now with what we've got in Ground Zero, like really fleshing out the middle of the adventure, I want to see what's coming afterward.
Definitely.
Yep.
Something that hit me, when I was playing it for the first time after the update, there's so much content in Distance by now. It's really ridiculous, you guys. You got all the car functions. We know those from Iconic Rush, but then you got you kind of know the shard launcher as well, but I mean just all the things that are in, and like then you get zero gravity thrown in and teleporters, and there's
driving
so
half a car.
Driving half
a car.
That's like the one thing that, like, whenever you show people Distance, you just drive through a laser and then they go bonkers. It's still one of the best features, and it's just like you can't. It's sometimes you forget that, but then you remember, and then it's like, oh yes, that's why this game.
I threw a party like shortly after I got access to Distance when they did that alpha upgrade thing. And I had my computer hooked up to the TV, and I was playing Distance, and I was having people play Distance, and there were people who were just like driving around and looking for lasers in levels just because it was it's so cool. And I still do that. Like if I see a laser, I'll try to get cut. I don't care.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun.
It is though.
All right, so
yeah.
Moving on, we're going to look at the improved audio engine and audio options, because we got the new audio engine, the WISE engine, or is that right?
It's WISE Audio Kinetic.
WISE, okay.
It's a thing.
So we have a bunch more volume sliders in the audio options menu, which is very nice, because just having the music and master options before was a little... Like compared to Nitronic Rush, it was minimalistic, but now we've got a whole bunch of options.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even expect these many options, like car, environment, obstacles, menus. You could do that. Literally, you could group all of that in SFX and be done with it. But since you got an audio engine at your service and you got these sounds categorized into these groups, you may as well throw volume sliders on them.
Yeah,
it's pretty useful for balancing for videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then we also got the low pass and reverb in a tunnel and the high pass filter on when you're in a quarantine zone. I'll just quickly explain what that means for people who aren't familiar with the terminology. Basically, a low pass filter means that low frequencies pass through and the higher frequencies get brought down, and then a high pass filter is the opposite of that. So this sort of gives a more dynamic effect to the audio, kind of like, again, like what we were seeing before in Nitronic Rush.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea for the tunnels, at least. It's a cool idea, but it's not executed very well right now. In fact, all of the low pass things, which is basically just the tunnels, and then when you die, the music gets turned down. The music gets muffled way too much.
Yeah, I
like,
have to agree with you on that.
It's a good effect. It's just overdone, and then on that note, the tunnel, the other effect, the reverb echo effect in the tunnel, there needs to be more of that, because you can't really tell it's there that much if you're just charging through a tunnel, which is how most people are going to do it, because there's not usually things in most of the tunnels don't have that many obstacles. So you're just going to be charging through it, and when you charge through it, you can't really tell that your booster or your engine is echoing that much, and that's all you're going to hear. Although some of the other things are alright, like if you skid, you notice it reverbs a bit, but I don't know, it just seems like it needs to be a little more of that.
It needs to be a little bit more actually tunnely.
I guess you could say it that way.
Yeah, like, because what we got right now is sort of.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah, because what we got right now is sort of like, it's almost as though you're going through a tunnel that just is made of sound-absorbing material.
Yeah.
and it doesn't look like that, so it's a little bit disorienting.
Definitely. Yeah, it's like the tunnels are made of metal.
All right,
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
So, moving on. We're going to head to something that Crispy and Skirmisher are going to talk about.
Oh my goodness. I wonder what it could be.
Yeah. Well, we have been working on the distance advent calendar for about a month now. And for those of you who haven't seen the thread yet, it's 24 days with 24 levels by different level creators. And it's going to be tons of fun.
Yeah. There's... I mean, we got basically a level per day, you know, like a advent calendar, and then there's gonna be some extra fun stuff on some of the days, which is and some of it's pretty darn exciting, I gotta tell you. And then we have the community events, of which there are some number, I forget which, 4. Is that the number we're going with?
Yes, 4.
Yes, that's right, 4. And
well,
then
5
there's
counting the tournament.
5 counting the turn. Oh yeah, we need to. I knew that sounded a little inaccurate, but just a little. And for and there's gonna be the tag tournament, which is gonna be a pretty big thing if we get everything down. We're gonna. I'm not sure if we should go into detail about that right now, but
we can tell as much as signups are open. You can.
Yeah, signups are open. You can go on the thread, and there's a Google Doc. We'll link that in the description along with other stuff. And yeah, we'll put you on the list. And as soon as we figure out how to organize this, which we'll choose that based on how many people join. So everybody join, please. I mean, besides just join. But yeah, we will put you into brackets and stuff. Just throw your name in the hat, and we'll do something. So.
Yes, and there will be a prize, of course, for winning the tournament. What it is, we have not yet decided. But
can it be a date with you, Crispy?
It could be a date with me, possibly. I mean, I would have to check with my girlfriend, but
I gotta win.
I'm sure that could be.
I gotta win. She can come along. I don't care.
Plane ticket not included.
Yeah.
Shit. Never mind. Screw this.
Okay, moving on. We've got.
Oh wait.
Yes.
I do want to say real quick. Doing what I do on the YouTubes, I am insanely excited for this advent calendar. Like, I'm not going to be short on levels to showcase. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I'm going to be overwhelmed.
I'm hoping to give you something after the advent calendar. So.
Ooh.
Anyway, moving on.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Speaking of levels, we got a whole bunch of level editor changes to cover. So let's get right into that. More simples. Yes. You can never go wrong with more simples.
Wins.
So that's like cones, squares, triangles, and stuff like that, right?
I don't even know how to say the things that they have added.
Well, I'm looking at the GIF here, and it's a shitload. There's a pill, there's a cylinder, there's a
dodecahedron.
Yeah, exactly.
There are D20s. We can make D&D jokes in distance now. I'm excited. I cannot wait.
Dude, I see. We got the dodecahedron.
You do that for
Make a board game tag level.
We also got the
it would have to,
icosahedron.
oh my goodness.
And
then they've got like the Taurus ring. They've got it's cool. I'm excited. You guys better make a level where like you jump through hoops that aren't checkpoints.
So yeah,
Dude.
that's awesome. And of course, emissive versions of all of them straight off the bat. That's just
Emissive means you can pass through one side and not the other, right?
Emissive
or is that
is-
just
No,
lanes?
That's
emissive is simply a texture. And
It glows.
A glow. It glows.
Oh.
It's shiny.
So we can have rings that are on fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Potential.
kind of on fire, kind of. Like,
Yeah.
you have to use your imagination a bit, but it'll work.
All right, we also have undo and redo fixes. So now the transform properly inspects undo and redo with the tracks. I actually encountered that a lot when I was trying to undo things, so I'm really happy about that.
I have actually never encountered that.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm not sure about that. But
Well, it was just sometimes you would try to undo something and like you try to undo a transform or something and it just wouldn't do it. It would act like
Oh,
that
that's
was...
right. No, I remember actually because
No, that rings
when you would
a little low.
when you modified track manipulator nodes to like rotate, or like something else, if you punch the number in, it wouldn't. I'm not sure if this has been fixed yet, but it wouldn't change the track along with it. It would just rotate the node and it would just sit there. And the great thing is you could like undo it and then redo it because it wouldn't, and then the track would suddenly follow. Actually, it wasn't relevant at all. Never mind. Ignore me.
It's already in there, man. We can't just cut that out. This is the internet.
And then we also have that undo and redo now select the objects that they're changing, which I think is actually really good as well, because now you can see what's being undone when you're like not 100% clear.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Actually, one thing I did want to say though is that I'm pretty sure the undo system is now pretty darn broken. I've been using it quite a bit, and I think for some property changes, like if you check a box or change a number that isn't a transform property, then you try to undo it, it doesn't work. I still need to report that, but I'm pretty sure there's some weirdness with it in any case. So that this may have introduced some other stuff, but that's not like oh, it's this way, you should make it this way. This is a bug, this needs to be fixed. So I'm not sure it really fits on the podcast, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Now, a quick thing is that the splines are now calculated globally, so hopefully less bugs with the splines. I didn't really encounter that many.
oh yeah, I haven't crashed into any invisible creases lately. Creases, sake.
Oh, me
Yeah,
neither,
I've witnessed it happening more often than I've actually had it happen to me.
You saw it happen to me on
Yeah, I
screen.
saw it happen to you once on Broken Symmetry.
Unbroken. It was even on the broken symmetry. Yeah,
Broken.
very broken.
Oh, man.
Yep.
How fitting, huh?
All right,
Yeah,
and
very fitting.
also pasting road sections properly links road pieces. I didn't really encounter that. Does anybody?
Yeah, someone complained about it once, I think, and I might have told them something, and now they don't have to complain anymore. So.
All right, we also have, since we no longer are using the space bar for toggling track manipulator nodes, that is now in a being made to be a quick tools menu. I haven't actually used that. Has anybody tried that out?
It's kind of cool. It just has all the tools in there, and when you press space, you can search for them. But the downside of that is that you have to press escape to close it again.
Mm.
I think though a good way to improve that is to if you start typing and if you press enter, then it selects the tool that is at the top of your list, and then it closes the box.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That would work.
Okay, so
yeah.
we also
Kinda.
have a new thing is instead of now spacebar, we have T to toggle track manipulator nodes,
Yes.
and also the color change to make them stand out. But this is not like track manipulator node mode versus regular mode. This is actually just toggling them on and off, which is
Yes.
because we actually mentioned this. We actually mentioned this in the previous podcast, is that not being able to toggle them off sometimes made it difficult to select objects when they were on the track manipulator nodes.
Yes.
But now that's not really an issue anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, all gizmos light up yellow for selected axis on hover instead of mouse click. So that's
That's actually I mean I hadn't considered that before, but then when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's pretty useful because sometimes, especially with the rotation gizmo, you can easily select something you don't mean to select.
Yeah, the rotation
nice.
gizmo is really easy to just be like, I accidentally chose the y-axis instead of the x-axis. Oh, there goes the building.
Although they highlight sometimes even when you're not going to select them, but that might be just maybe that's unavoidable. I don't know, but it's probably not that big of a deal.
Okay, big thing. We now have a group tool.
This is mine. I love this. I mean, wow, have I been waiting for this? Fuck symbols. Groups are the new shit. I mean, it's the single greatest feature added to the level editor as of yet. It does not get.
Can
better
you say
than
those
groups.
words?
Seriously, I have been waiting for this for so long, and it just works exactly as it should. I cannot find a flaw within it. So good job on that.
Yeah, I think Krispy pretty much summed it up right there.
Yep, nail on head.
We also have a slightly improved layer system. They now save and load their states as if they're frozen, visible, or the active layer.
Yeah, which addresses the concerns we had with track manipulator nodes earlier, but now it's not even relevant to them anymore. But yeah, that's cool. I should use layers more.
Actually, I've started using them after this update because they just seem to make a lot more sense to me now. I don't know if they changed something visually about them, but I just know they just work for me now, and I couldn't quite get them to work before. So,
yeah.
Layers are cool, man. They're awesome.
Yeah, alright, a bit of an amusing change. The monolith, which was originally called Monolith when it was released, is now back to being called Monolith, which is also, as a few of us have noticed, it's also kind of turned the leaderboards back to the state they were in when the level was called Monolith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so funny. That's just like a silly little thing to happen. Why can't they make up their minds on a level name and a leaderboard?
Well, they have actually changed quite a lot of names, I think. I mean,
yeah, similar thing happened when they changed euphoric emptiness into negative space.
All the beginning adventure levels into different things, except for the first one.
First and broken symmetry
like
and lost society.
I don't remember.
So it was euphoric emptiness to negative space, unstable superposition to departure, and gray matters to aftermath, and all of those.
Oh, don't forget escape turned into destination.
Well, that doesn't have a sprint leaderboard, so.
Yeah, well, shut up.
This is so messy. What was the thing about machines called before?
It wasn't called anything because it
was called exist. No, it was called fractured.
It did have what it was before it, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now I remember that.
Oh yeah! Suddenly everyone remembers.
So many freaking names. Refract.
Moving on.
Come on. I wonder if they just like. I wonder if they put names for levels in a hat and just pick them out every update and go, we're gonna change this to bananas. All right, it's canon. We better get that yellow color scheme going.
Dude, I like yellow color scheme.
Yellow color schemes are awesome.
All right, moving on.
Okay,
moving on for real this time.
Okay, back on track.
Last thing is a little minor update is that the gold, silver, and bronze medal images have been updated.
Woo!
They look. I think they look a little better now.
They have different pictures. I haven't noticed either because I never get medals.
It's probably
That's head comfortingly.
It's because you don't do skips.
Shut up about your skips, Cyclops.
All right,
guys. Is the joke done? The
joke
is done. Okay, let's go.
Professional.
Moving. That's it for the update discussion, so let's move into level discussion. First level, I'm going to avoid the nepotism here, but the first level is my level, Altered City, so I'm just going to pass it off to you guys to talk about it, and then I'll just add my stuff in at the end.
Let me just say that when you first showed me Altered City, the only thing I thought is, can I use this to launch me forward? And the answer was no. I exploded very, very quickly, and I love it. It's such a great stage. I love what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
I think one of the greatest things about it is that you've timed everything. You've mentioned this before, that you coordinated everything so that if you boost through everything as fast as possible, then you can make it through all the obstacles without hitting anything, which is super awesome.
Yeah,
that's good level
I remember
design
you
right
mentioning. I remember you mentioning that when we were doing the showcase. And yes, I can confirm that it's true, and it's awesome.
Yeah, so if you play the level really well, you're fine, and if you make a mistake, well, good luck.
Yeah, you're gonna get slapped in the face by an alliance symbol turning the wrong way.
That's one of my favorite things, I'll be honest.
The color scheme is solid. Also, I mean, it has the length of a challenge level. I
would like to make a point about the timings. Playtest your tracks. You know, for all the track authors, they need to playtest their tracks a lot.
Yeah, and not just from the level editor. You need to actually go into Sprint and go to My Levels and choose your level, because the cycle's different.
Yep.
All right, it's a short
track.
How
much time did you how often did you have to go back and forth between the sprint mode and the editor before you got your timing down? Because I didn't know that it was different in game than in the editor.
Just a couple of times. Like I finished laying everything out. I went in. I sort of figured out like how long it took to get to each place. Then I went into the sprint mode to try it out. I went back and adjusted everything and went back and forth like 2 or 3 times to make sure everything was fine.
Yeah. Basically, the reason why it's different is because when you're in sprint mode, the level loads, but then you sit for a little bit while everyone, not necessarily, but you just sit for a little bit while the countdown goes down. But if you just test in the level editor, you can start right away, and the object will start spinning at the same time you start going, instead of starting spinning at the same time the countdown starts, or however they do it. Yeah. So that's why you have to watch out for that.
Okay.
Alright, short level. We'll go into another short challenge level. This is System Break by Tessaload. I actually really like this level because it's a simple concept, and it's not so challenging that it's going to take you like a billion tries to do it, but it's very obvious what he wants from you, and it's not like overly complicated to execute.
Yeah, I really like it because it reminds me a lot of one of the refractories in challenge level Dodge, where it's just one thing. You gotta do one thing, and then that's it. But you can still improve upon your time once you've done it once. You can always I think it's really great. And there's also I can't remember if that was Cali that just said that, but it's just great to see that people are doing shorter challenge levels now.
Yeah, because I like the shorter ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it feels like
it's basically what a challenge level should be. Is you have a concept, and you can basically iterate on. I mean, you do the thing, and then you go back and do the thing faster. Although that makes me kind of a hypocrite, because I'm making making a normal level that I'm making in challenge mode, because it doesn't really work to have checkpoints. But yeah, like it's not that big.
Something like comparing distance challenge levels to Nitronic Rush challenge levels is that in Nitronic Rush, the first 11 challenge levels were all under a minute long, and then Olympian Ironman, the last one, was just 2.5 minutes if you do the track normally. I'm not even gonna get into the fact that you can do the track in less than 10 seconds, but
away. runs far.
If you do it normally, it's about 2.5 minutes long. So that's just like the only one, and it was like themed all around the fact that it was this really big challenge.
Yeah.
So like, I think
how long is Super Saw Hill?
I don't remember.
Kind of like 1 to 2 minutes or something.
How long is Desert Bus?
11 minutes.
11 minutes. It's right about 12 minutes.
Or when I did it, it was negative 49 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at Mr. You go so fast, you distort the fabric of space and time. Nobody cares, Skirmisher.
And of course, then there's Desert Bus Augmented Edition, which only takes a minute.
I gotta say, Desert Bus Augmented Edition is probably the most ridiculous B-rated fun I have ever had in a video game.
Are we just discussing these now? I think we should.
Yeah, let's move on.
All right. Yeah. We've got Left It to Rot. Was it that by the Hatsune Miku?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
This one was pretty good. I like the skip in it though. That skip's pretty fun.
Let's avoid talking about skips and just focus on what the level does right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, basically, it says it's designed to be hard, but not too hard. And you have obstacles, and you go through the track. I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
It's straightforward. It works because it doesn't like throw random stuff at you. It just flows very well.
I think the reason that I believe I added it actually, but I think the reason that I did was because he just gets the concept of obstacles and how to use them to not like mess up the player, but still challenge the player in a good, sensible way.
Don't overuse.
Yeah, don't overuse.
Yeah, like we always talk about how in Distance, your enemy is the track is trying to kill you, but it shouldn't feel like the track is actively trying to kill you, I think.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that he really got right in this level, is that it feels like the track is your enemy, but it doesn't feel like it's really trying to kill you.
The track should just not really care that you're there. It just happens to not be very... I mean, that probably sounded not how I meant, but similar to how creatures in Dark Souls, like, they don't care that you're there. They'll see you and they'll try to kill you, but they don't really care that you're there, because they just go back to what they were doing. The track should have the same sort of attitude about the player. Like, it's just here.
Yes, I guess I see what you were saying.
Coming soon, sentient distance tracks.
Oh god, please, no.
No, it just as you're going along a straightaway, it suddenly rolls up and eats you.
Ow.
I would play that.
No, it's a loop-de-loop, and then it just closes in on itself.
If you die in Distance, you die in real life.
Okay, moving on. We have...
Poor Cyclops.
Poor Cyclops.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep this thing going. You guys are like...
Man, we're having fun making jokes.
We're pushing 40 minutes and haven't gotten the suggestions yet.
Oh,
I blame Fork.
We can do this. Come on.
Alright, next on the map list is Unfinished Title, Unfinished Level, Suburbs by Krisha CZ. What it's done so far, a lot of what it's done so far is a pretty good track. You have, I mean, the premise is you have a broken city, basically. Everything, the visuals of the start and end of the level are pretty darn good. With all the sparks and the scaffolding and just kind of the dark. It's hardly a color scheme, but like the dark aesthetic is nice. And then it switches. Basically, it tries to replicate the level broken symmetry, or at least the feel of it. And it switches the music in the middle, which is a little awkward. Especially when it goes back to the first area, or at least, I mean, in terms of aesthetics, when it goes back to the first area, the music resets, which makes you think it would probably be a nice idea to, like, if you're going to have a music switch in the middle of a track, have a way to, like, pick up on, like, where you left off in a track, or have the track playing in the background, and then it just fades back in as if it was playing the whole time, or maybe even like jump to a specific point in a music track. Yeah, what I just thought of right now is that every track has like an intro section, and then it has the loop section.
Well, not every track. Well, there are some tracks.
Pretty much every track. Pretty much every track has the intro section and the loop section. Several tracks have loops, but yeah, has the intro section and the loop section. So for going to a audio track, a music track in the middle of a level, if it faded in at the start of the loop rather than at the beginning.
Yeah, that could work, but I mean, not all of there are actually several music tracks that just they just have one segment and it loops. In fact, funny thing is, back when Drive-tastic was just called Drive, well, when it was the original version was called Drive, it had an intro, but then when there was like the new remix version or whatever, and it was Drive-tastic, it was just all one segment suddenly, which was a little weird, but yeah. Anyway, as far as the level goes, it was interesting, but it didn't really do much, and it probably could have a few more obstacles thrown in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I
it's
think
certainly,
obstacles thrown in, period.
lacking in obstacles right now, but it is a work in progress map, so hopefully we can expect to see some obstacles added in.
Yeah.
One more point on this track. I think the last section didn't really fit with the rest of it in terms of like how the track felt aside from the
I would
music.
have to agree, yeah.
The last section after the last teleporter just didn't fit at all.
And there's that one red track in the last section that doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little weird. You just kind of get flung off. And it's just, I mean, and it
It's like,
actually
oh, hey,
deposits
what's
you.
that?
If you just fall straight down from there, it deposits you basically in front of the finish, which is nice, but it could be done better.
Alright, and the last one we're going to talk about is just this concept in general of blade kissing. Was Platoon Sergeant put up Ocean Jump, and
another level.
yeah,
There's
another
level
we're
called
gonna mainly
Toxic Lunch.
Yeah,
but
he put
mainly
it up
focus
right
on
before we
Ocean
started.
Talk
Jump
about the first one.
because Ocean Jump is just a single launch, and it's a really cool idea. It works, but it's kind of finicky.
Are you talking about blade kissing in and of itself is kind of finicky?
Yeah, like just getting the launch that you want.
It definitely is, and I think that's just because of how, like, at present, that's because of how the engine just works. It doesn't have constant physics every single time.
Yeah, and it also wasn't designed for this kind of thing. Like, it wasn't designed with this in mind, so...
Yeah. Electronic Rush had the same problem, where you don't have deterministic physics, so you have no guarantee that things are going to be the same every time.
Yeah. I mean, there's not an inherent problem with that, but it's not a good thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, for the average player, they're not gonna care, but for people who rely on obstacles to get skips, Cyclops, you know, it's gonna matter. Because if you need to rely on this saw launching you in the same way every time, but it's always slightly different, then it puts your run, like, completely up to luck.
For the record, there's only one level where I have to rely on collision for the skip, and I haven't even finished that route yet, so...
I know. It was a joke I couldn't resist.
Okay, moving on. We're gonna go in...
Yes.
That's the end of the level discussion, so right now we've got our suggestions section. We're just going to cover, again, some of the threads, and we're also going to cover a few things that just haven't been talked about in threads, but we feel like should be talked about. So the first thing is, there was a thread that Krispy posted about grinds, but moreover, just tricks in general.
No, not just tricks in general, more just stunt. Just show stunt some love. I don't care if it's,
like,
I wouldn't say that stunt needs more tricks. I just think it needs a combo timer and the decay on the tricks and whatnot we have talked about. And
definitely,
I will not stop until I have my side wheelie.
And you need the side wheelie, but yeah. It needs some way to be fun and actually playable, because right now it's just it makes no sense.
I think if you have more variety, then you could sort of like get more ability to do really cool combos, and that would just improve the system.
Definitely,
in general.
I feel like stunt definitely, like, without a doubt, needs
a makeover.
It needs that. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, behind soccer, stunt is like one of the most neglected modes.
I feel like maybe stunt would be a little bit more popular if speed and style were available in multiplayer.
Is it? Oh, it isn't.
It is not. It is so.
Why?
It's so weird.
I think it's something to do with the way that your time is calculated, because for those of you who haven't played speed and style, basically every single point you get subtracts a millisecond from your time at the end of the level.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be weird with the placing if someone came in first and then someone finished immediately afterward with enough points to put them in first.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, with that it would be weird, but they didn't do enough stunts. They get bumped down to second. Deal with it.
I have a sneaking suspicion that it's just that would require them to like rewrite some part of their architecture, and they just didn't feel like doing it right then, so they haven't added it yet.
That could definitely be it too.
Yep.
All right, we also have a suggestion for it's an interesting idea, I think. The idea of having a sound barrier effect so that when you're going like a certain speed, you break the sound barrier and get like a sonic boom of some kind.
That'd be really cool if we ever got like honestly like super duper super fast, but as it is, it's kind of hard to even top out on your speed.
It's kind of hard to justify because I'm about to go a bit physics on you, but the speed of sound, if I remember correctly, is roughly 760 miles per hour. And looking at the builds when they actually had the speedometer on the vehicle, the fastest I saw the vehicle going was about 200 miles per hour. So
it looks like the speed of sound is 340.29 meters per second at sea level. Thank you, Google.
Yeah, I knew that. I just didn't know how to convert to miles per hour. I was just going off of memory.
Were they using miles per hour on the car?
Yeah, they were using miles per hour on the car.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So like, as an idea, it's cool, but it just would be like not fitting as a sound barrier effect, maybe, but maybe it's like some other effect.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But something that shows that, wow, I'm going fast.
Yeah. That would be that's worth some.
I mean, you can't just rely on radio blur because people can turn that off.
Yeah.
A lot of us do for recording and streaming.
Yeah. All right, here's something that I'm going to pass off to the controller players because I can't really talk about it, but we have the idea of having a dead zone for controller thrusters or just dead zones in general.
Dead zones in general is the next step. Now we have, I mean, this is an old addition, not addition necessarily, like an old, we've finished this part sort of thing, but like we have customizable controls that are like you can change basically everything. Having dead zones for control sticks and accelerator pedals and all that sort of stuff is a good plan. I know my controller has a little bit of wonkiness to its left stick after being used for 2 years since Nitronic Rush. Almost 3 now. God, man, that's been a long time. But yeah, basically dead zones and also force feedback for controllers that aren't Xbox 360 controllers or whatever they're using for the arcade cabinet. I mean, just basically these are the things you need to consider next if you're going to have a full-on like control settings, all these control settings. It's the next step.
Okay, before we move on to the next one, I want to throw this one in here because this is something we don't have on the list, and I want to get it in before we forget about it because this is something that we've been actually talking about almost every single time we do multiplayer, is the ability to select a new track, like have a menu for selecting new tracks on the end track screen rather than having to go back to the lobby.
Yes,
Yep.
Please don't make me just choose the next track or go back to the main menu. Like, let people vote even.
Yeah, a
voting system. That would be a cool idea.
Oh,
Just
random track. It's like
random track.
then you can vote.
Let's say, like, if for that to really work, it would this would have to come after auto download, which we already know that they're working on. But like, the level finishes, everybody's done. It pops up like 6 random levels, just like their pictures just like pop up, and you can select them.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this should come after dedicated servers, though, when the host doesn't have to be in game.
Well, that would be so cool, though.
Yeah,
it's definitely something that it's not by any means like needed, but it would add a lot to the online experience and to playing online with people that you don't know.
But for now,
it could even suggest a single tag level once in a while to keep it fresh.
Just one though. Why not all of them?
I think for now, though, while the host does have to be in the game, just being able to select a track after finishing is great.
That was where we came from.
Definitely.
That is definitely about sedition at the time.
All right, so next up, buildings. The big thing for buildings is more ancient buildings is something that I would really like to see because I know that the ancient buildings were like something that was in the past of distance, like this was the original style and they were going to do things with different styles, but then they sort of decided that, what was the decision? That was just not...
It was, basically, I mean, they wanted to have, they were considering having multiple art styles for different sections of the city, but they decided it was too much of a workload or something. They talked about it on the last official stream they did, when it was the, I think it was the Kickstarter anniversary stream.
Yeah, the showing off all the builds.
Yeah, that was they basically it was an early experiment, and they couldn't really see themselves maintaining this. It was just like it was out of their scope. So they just instead of axing the all these pieces, they just left them in so people can use them, which is nice because it's a nice aesthetic. But I see where you're coming from, that it would be cool if they could get
I absolutely love the ancient art style. I just feel like there isn't enough of it to rely on it. Like, we only have 5 buildings and only 3 of them are really unique. 2 of them are just like adding wings onto one of the buildings. And one thing that I think would really help being able to use the ancient building is just having ancient blocks, so you could not have to like rely on the buildings to pad out your level.
That'd be really cool, and you could sort of place the blocks like within each other and shape your own building.
Yeah,
it would be
ridiculously
primitive
to talk about, because symbols, on the point of symbols, having all the symbols with different textures according to the different styles would be so lovely.
Oh yeah!
Oh my god, yes.
Just be able to texture. Just like if you go into the property of a symbol, just have a menu where you can select which texture
drop
you
down
want.
where you could say like this needs to be Empire, or this needs to be Ancient, or this needs to be Virusy, because the color scheme itself. Also, I mean, your palette varies from different pieces. You can't color the glass road the same color as the ancient road because of the texture on the ancient road. It has this mossy green color that you can't quite replicate with any of the other road pieces. So, and the same goes for the buildings. The virusy buildings have this red purplish glow to them that you can't get that. So a symbol with that texture, so you could get that same virusy feel and blend it in with it, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
A couple more building suggestions was, I'd like to see more buildings that you can jump through, buildings with holes in them, so you could like jump through them or put track pieces through them, because that, I feel like that gives like a bit more of an interaction with the world rather than just experiencing the world.
Yeah, you're not just driving by the world anymore, you're driving in the world.
Yeah, I suppose.
I've always really liked levels where they have Rattlesnake did this really, really well. Where they had parts of buildings very, very close to the track and like going over it. And Distance has this thing where when you move quickly by an obstacle, it makes that whoosh sound.
Yeah, so in fact, there's even an object you can use. I mean, it's not like a thing that the engine does by itself, but there is a thing you can put in the level editor where it'll make a whoosh sound when you go by it, so you can create all sorts of stuff, which is cool.
Okay, cool. I did not know that it worked like that.
And it actually also varies depending on how fast you're going.
Yeah.
And so does the caution tape. It uses the exactly same mechanic.
Oh yeah, that's the caution tape sound is cool. But the buildings that buildings that like interact more with the track would be cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, and last for buildings, I'm not gonna explicitly say that Altered City is the reason why I want this, but in general I love rotating buildings. They just feel so dynamic. Anything with moving parts, it just makes things so much. It just makes it feel more alive, I think.
It can really add a lot to a stage when you've got you've been driving for a while. However long a while is in distance, but you've been driving and every building is like stationary, and then you just see this one building that's moving. It adds a lot. It's got a lot of weight and impact to it, and it's definitely something that we need more of.
Yeah, and as Cyclops says, I mean, not just buildings, objects in general. I mean, I think the most used object probably overall in the editor, I could imagine that being the rotating ring. There's a shit ton of rotating rings everywhere.
All right,
Just the basic one.
Up next, we have the idea for ability disabling zones, or ability disabling triggers would also work. But basically, currently we only have the ability to start out with most abilities disabled and then re-enable them over the course of the track, or you can enable and disable wings at will. But I think if we had a system that sort of made it clear for other abilities being disabled, we could then add the ability to disable things like jump and boost in the middle of a track.
Yeah, and just basically toggle them on and off whenever, just like with wings and with wing. No, that's all I was gonna say.
I mean, we already have symbols for, like, we have like the holograms that the decorative, not holograms, but the decorative boards that have like the jump symbol, the boost symbol, the wings symbol. Those symbols could be used the same way that the wing corruption is used.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, this reminds me of if you disabled boost but not flight, the car it's possible to do in the game if you disable you can disable this at the beginning of the level, but it kind of makes the game pointless and silly. But basically your car will then like kind of gently glide down, but the physics of the wings don't work very well when you're not boosting because it's expecting you to boost. But I think if that was changed so like you could like boost off of like a ramp or something, and then it would the level would disable your boost, and then you could use the wings to glide to some other bit, especially if you like somehow were sped up really fast. I think that could be a cool idea, cool use of this being able to disable these things.
All right, so we're also gonna quickly talk about camera suggestions. This doesn't have a thread, but we had a lot of talk about making camera movement more snappy and locking behind the car in certain situations, like with wings and other things.
Zero gravity.
Oh yes, zero gravity, definitely. That's something I've been worrying over in the level I'm working on, because I have a point where you can't even see any of the anywhere outside an enclosed area, but it's zero gravity. But according to the level, it's it goes, you're going like straight down and then straight up and straight down. I forget how I do it, but you can't tell where gravity is if it weren't for or you can't tell where the ground normally would be if it weren't for the camera basically just trying to orient things, which is a little wonky. Although it does help. I mean, it makes sense in areas like where zero gravity was originally used, Aftermath, the level Aftermath.
Yeah.
Where you can see the track and you have you have a down point. There's just no gravity, but there are definitely there are a lot of levels I think that would benefit from having a toggle for this the camera to be completely unlocked.
Yeah, just adding an option in the properties of that zero-G object.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be nice.
Although what was I gonna say? There's a camera. Oh, as far as making the camera more snappy, I do this whenever I do a jump from the floor, the normal track, to a ceiling. I have to press the camera reset button on the controller, which is basically if you have if you click the right stick on the controller in advanced mode, I think, and or if you press 5 on the numpad, basically it snaps the camera to the back of the track or back of the car. So which I find myself having to do quite a lot whenever I'm doing a ceiling jump. So because the camera takes way too long to rotate, once you do actually hit the track, the camera does not respond very well at all. I think it needs to move much faster, which is why I have to click the stick in so the camera snaps immediately. Otherwise it's just meh.
Yeah, I think honestly I've gotten used to it, so I don't even see it anymore. But once I read through a couple of the threads on the Steam forums that were complaining about it, I started looking at it a little more, and yeah, it does move kind of slow.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for suggestions. So we're coming to the end of the podcast, so I'm just going to quickly hand this off to Fork because he wanted to get a plug-in right now, and I think it's a good thing to get this in, so take it away.
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know about an an event that we do every Saturday called Speedy Saturday. We host it right here on this Mumble that we're on right now, but you guys can't see that, but whatever. We all get together on Mumble, and somebody hosts. I stream, some other people stream. Sometimes Krispy or Skirmisher will stream or host, whatever they're able to. And we just hang out and we play Distance for a couple of hours every Saturday. You can find information for it on the forums or on the subreddit. It's a sticky on the subreddit, and it's not very hard to find on the official Distance forums. But I just want to let you guys know about it. It's still something that's going on, and with early access apparently coming up, soon, we hope. It should be something great for all of you potential new players to join in and just join us. It's a great time.
Yeah, 7 GMT, 2 EST, 1 CST, 11 PST. Just gonna throw 4 common time zones there.
Thank you for not making me do that.
Those are PM, and no wait. I never mind.
PM, and AM.
Yes, okay, so that was right. I wasn't sure about the early ones.
Man, time zones are crazy. But that's all I wanted to say. I would love it if you guys joined us this Saturday.
We have tons
of fun. Much fun. It's actually really fun.
It is.
Just put aside 2 hours and just play Distance with other people.
It's so much fun. You don't even need to be there for the whole 2 hours. Come by, play a few rounds, see if you have fun. You will, and play some Distance.
Yeah. My challenge for Saturday is usually getting up in time for because I sleep in really late because I don't get. I'm terrible about that. Anyway, but yeah, you should come and play with us. It would be rad. It will be rad. It is rad.
It's the raddest. Some might say it's even raddest.
It has been rad.
I made a Dragon Ball joke.
Oh god.
Yeah, I think we're done here, right?
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna wrap this up, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Cali, Krispy, Skirmisher, and our special guest this episode, Fork, for joining us today.
Yeah.
Yep.
No
Fork,
problem.
Yeah. I think it was a good idea to add Fork in.
Very good idea.
Fork just
provides a bit of comic relief.
I do my best.
No. Really quick before we end, if anyone wants to join as special guest next episode, you can find the Know the Distance thread on the Distance forums. And
no, I'm the special guest forever. I'm the special guest forever.
Pat's head.
No, it's mine.
All right, so that's it for this episode. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you on Saturday, hopefully.
Yes, we better see you on Saturday.
If this is even out by Saturday. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.